Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Randomly Selected. My name is Mario. Thank you so much for joining us. We are really happy that you are continuing to give us the love, and we truly appreciate it. And by the way, Randomly Selected is powered by the Silver Room. Today's episode is special. We're talking about Bronzeville Winery, and to help us do that is the CEO of America, Mr. Eric Williams, and we welcome in Cecilia Cuff. We got a lot to talk about today, including why Eric chose Bronzeville for Bronzeville Winery, and Cecilia Cuff coming back into the fold, back into the Silver Room family, though she never really technically left, but she's back. We talk about all those things, the winery, and we got some announcements and stuff to make today, too. Stay tuned, everybody. It's Randomly Selected. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome in Eric Williams and Cecilia Cuff. They have been randomly selected.
I live in Bronzeville. And I didn't have a place to go that was close to my house. So it was simple as that, man. I'm tired of going to the north side, tired of going to West Loop. We should build something close to my house. It was very selfish.
That is selfish as hell, but I like that, though.
And then I started realizing that everybody I knew lived in Bronzeville, which is so weird. You meet somebody, not meet, you know somebody. Oh, where do you live? I live on 41st and this, 41st and this. I live on 30 this and this. It's like, no, everyone lives in Bronzeville. Mm-hmm. So I think, I just kind of started to really realize even more so. And, of course, the history of the neighborhood and, more importantly for me right now, in many ways, what's happening right now. So just something that reflects who the people, the people who live in the community, what they would want, So that's kind of where it came from. And also, too, just like knowing that the Silver Room and knowing our customer base and what they would want.
It's a renaissance happening in on our side of town, really, culturally, artistically, economically, in many ways. The role of Bronzeville Winery, if we juxtapose it to the role of Silver Room in Hyde Park, the role of Bronzeville Winery in Bronzeville will be what?
I think about how space can change a community or be a part of a community, and I saw it in Wicker Park with the first Silver Room, how we were there and how that neighborhood, changed over time. Even how the place in Hyde Park has kind of helped to shape the community in some way. So, these small places sometimes can mean a lot because one space becomes two, and the next thing you know, it's a whole thing happening. You know what I mean? So, to me, it's more than just the restaurant itself. It's about what happens 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that somebody sees something that's possible. Oh, wow, that's jumping off over there on Cottage Grove. Man, now somebody with an idea says, well, I'm going to build something down the street. And the next thing you know, 5 years from now, there's 10 spaces. Right. And now it's happening, So that's kind of, to me, the bigger picture.
Cecile. I'm sorry. I knew I was going to do that. Cecilia.
You could just say
CC.
You could just say
CC. I knew I was going to do that. Welcome to the Silver Room family.
Thank you.
She's been a part of Silver Room.
For a long time, but I mean, officially, welcome to the Silver Room family. And folks who don't know who you are, tell the people who you are and how you ended up in this partnership with Mr. Williams.
It's a long story. It goes back almost 20 years, which I feel like dates me now. But, I think I used to live across the street from the old Silver Room, 1443 North Milwaukee Avenue.
That's right.
Apartment still there, right above Artemio's Bakery.
Shout out
Artemio's
1442. They still there?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still there, and they still haven't done any updates to that apartment that I lived in.
Sweet. That's Wicker Park for you.
Exactly. The rent probably is 5 times more now,
18 times more. That is a total Wicker Park move.
Yeah. So, I lived across the street from Silver Room, and, I think I didn't understand the magnitude of what I had right there. I knew Eric, obviously, and he was a friend. Everyone who worked there, Natalie, I think, was there then, and she was a friend. And so being able to live across the street, really, for me, it was just the vehicle to be able to send my significant others over there to be able to get me some jewelry to get on my good side. So, I think that was kind of how the relationship started. But then it turned into me being able to take my parents over there when they would come to the city to visit me and just to be able to have those open conversations with Eric. And I think Eric and I came upon this realization a few months ago, and we were like, we actually didn't really hang out that much.
We hung out one time, actually.
We hung out one time. We went to the African Festival in Washington Park.
Oh, wow.
Like 12 years ago.
Yeah. So, it was more on a just sharing of ideas. When I would visit the store, I've always been in business, and I've always been more in the hospitality realm of opening restaurants, opening bars, designing hotels and restaurants and bars. And Eric has always been retail. And so, I think we would talk about business and have conversation, but we always had a really deep respect and mutual admiration
sure.
for each other. And so, that was a bond that I don't think ever breaks when you have that kind of bond with somebody. So we've been friends for almost 20 years and stayed in touch over the years. I moved away and did a lot of hotel design, restaurant opening for a little over 15 years for Hyatt Hotels, and then decided to move on to open up my own business. So I have the Nascent Group, and that's my group, and we do urban design development, hospitality design, restaurant design, and strategic business planning. So I've had the Nascent Group since about 2006, and so I think for us, we've really focused our efforts now, most recently, on helping to build minority businesses. Whether it's we've got everything from a cannabis brand in New York to a food co-op in LA to hotel and resorts in New Mexico. And now it was nice to be able to just kind of move around and do that and be able to help build communities, but build it through food and beverage. And that's what I'm good at. I'm good at feeding people. I'm good at taking care of people. And I think for me that's something that has felt really fulfilling. So Eric came to visit, and it was after a block party. He needed to take some time off. I told him to come up to the mountains. I was in Taos, New Mexico, and it's this little place, 8,000 feet up. I think the population of the town might be a few thousand people, and that's where I was living at the time. I still have a little art gallery out there and my house. And Eric came to visit. I took him to the hot springs, and we sat in the hot springs, looked at the stars, and Eric was like, I have this idea. And I think at that time,
that's how it always starts.
At that time, I think I had no idea what the magnitude of that statement was, and that's kind of how my involvement in this started, And I think for myself, and I think most people who know me either as Cecilia or as Cece know that I would probably do almost anything for my friends. So, just for originally, I was just going to help Eric with this idea that he had to make sure he could get there, because that is what I do. If somebody has an idea, generally I work with them to make sure that idea comes to fruition, whether it's trying to find funding or, I'm a problem solver, I think, of any type. So, that's kind of how my involvement started. But I, continue to work with my group, the Nascent Group, to be able to develop small businesses, try to find grant funding, try to build strategic business systems that work. And I will continue to do that. But for right now, being co-owner in this restaurant with Eric makes me understand why I'm here at this space now, and it feels really nice to be present in this space.
See, what had happened was
right, exactly.
I was working on it. I'm like, hey, can I hire you to help this idea? We start working together.
Right.
And I was like, man, she's really smart. Well, I knew that, but to see it, it's like, oh wow, she's really good. I was like, wait a minute, like you should just come partner with me, and come on back to Chicago. Let's make this happen. So,
I think that is. That this might end up being the story of the decade if everything goes the way it's supposed to go. You're talking about a winery, right? Essentially in the hood, although not a hood-ish neighborhood, but in the hood.
Now you sound like a bank.
Do I really?
You sound like the bank.
Wait a minute, this is on Cottage Grove. There's a dollar store across the street.
Well, the thing is, though, people's perception is their reality. Seeing a winery in the middle of Bronzeville is going to give some people cause to pause for a minute. Like, whoa, who owns this? Are these, are they white folks? Are they black people? What's going on? But to see a black man and a black woman anchoring this it's beautiful. I mean, I think it's poignant.
Well, that was the whole point. I guess so. Technically, it's not a winery. We're actually not producing wine. It's a wine bar, but
right.
Yeah.
But that was the idea, was to lead with wine, because a lot of people in the neighborhood like to drink wine. But the point is to put it in the heart of a neighborhood.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you think about why spaces are created in certain neighborhoods. People either feel like it won't be successful, or the people in the neighborhoods don't have the resources to create them. So how do you combine the two of an idea and also the resources? So that's what this initiative is. So it's to change perception in some way, because I know it will be successful. Then people will say, oh, wow, this is kind of dope. This is on Cottage Grove,
There was also a study done, I think it was in 2020, of the Bronzeville residents, and they found that there's actually more affluent black people in the Bronzeville neighborhood than there is in the entire city of Chicago combined.
In this portion of the program, we talk about how the supply chain affected the buildup of Bronzeville Winery. We also talk about how you can become part of the membership collective. And man, it sounds good. Sounds good to me. I'm thirsty. Let's do it.
I would say we were very thoughtful in the decisions of how we chose what would go in the space. And a lot of times when you look to the community, that actually helps to negate many issues that you might have because the human resources weren't going anywhere. So when we first started selecting what we were going to use in the restaurant, whether it be chairs or tables or whatever we have, we try to figure out how can we source these things locally so that we can use that commerce that we are generating to support our own community. So their chairs and tables, which would have normally probably come from Sweden. They're probably one of the biggest furniture designers and importers for restaurants. We actually had them designed by Norman Teague. So his Norman Teague Design Studios did an amazing job of doing all of our chairs and tables. So, we were able to shift that, something that could have been a problem, directly back to our community. So, things like that, lamps our lamps in the space were done by Lucy Slavinsky. They're amazing centerpieces of the restaurant. Some of the artwork and the woodwork on the walls is actually, which is another thing that probably would have been plywood, difficult to find, was actually done by a local artist as well. So, we were able to, I think, negate some of the issues or work around some of those obstacles by just looking to our community. And then I guess, the secondary part of it was kitchen equipment. I think anybody who's been trying to open a restaurant in the last 2 years knows that they're due to shipping and some pieces that are made overseas. There are places that were shut down during COVID, then that also affected the supply chain. But luckily, through community connections, we were able to find somebody who had a restaurant, and the restaurant went out of business. They walked away and left an entire restaurant there with all the kitchen equipment. And Testa, who is going to be one of our produce, they actually connected us with this space and said, hey, I know of this space. And we were able to get a lot of our kitchen equipment from that space. So I think it was a combination of things. And so we were able to pretty easily navigate through some of those supply chain issues. But, I think it's definitely getting a little bit better. It's just things are also really expensive right now.
Yeah, inflation and all that, I imagine. All right, here we are. Today, as we are recording this, you guys have an announcement to make. As Eric passes the baton to CC.
The Bronzeville Winery is opening. It's been 2 years in the making, but we are preparing to open our doors. We have a ribbon cutting that will take place. But our first announcement was that part of a really important section or area of the Bronzeville Winery that we wanted to have was to be able to create a place that allowed us to come together as community in Silver Room fashion. And so we've launched something called the Bronzeville Winery Wine Collective, which will be a multi-tiered membership program where you can either get a bottle of wine delivered to your house or pick up in the restaurant, or even sit down and enjoy it in the restaurant and get that paired with a piece of music. Or we have a membership program where you're able to have a Black Winemaker of the Month club where you can come in and see and experience a new winemaker of a black winemaker or a minority winemaker every single month. Or even just there's a third membership program where you're able to be able to come into the restaurant and during these members only events or these membership collective events, come in and just enjoy great music. So we've got a really, really great event planned for pre-opening that'll only be open to the first 50 people who are able to sign up for that membership club. So you can go online and find out about that at bronzevillewinery.com and get and get tickets to some of those upcoming events. But the membership club starts out at $30 a month. It's pretty inexpensive, and that allows you to come in and just have some wine, meet winemakers, come hang out. It also allows you to jump to the front of the line if we ever have full books on reservations, so you don't have to wait in line if you're part of the membership collective. And I think it's a great way to be able to experience a more specialized winemaker, I guess just a winemaker experience that is specialized for our group. We looked at some of the other membership clubs that are available for wine memberships, and they didn't feel like they really reflected us. And I guess us would be, the vibe of the Silver Room family. And so we wanted to kind of create something that was inspired by that. And I think that was part of Eric's inspiration for the Bronzeville Winery also was music and wine, right?
Music and wine. Yep. I was listening to that song actually. That was inspiration.
Really?
Music and wine just to pass the time.
Look at you. I was just going to say to silent producer Stefan, if I'm late for some of these recordings, you already know what happened. Thank you. If we're late, we'll be right with each other. I want to go back for a second, and before we continue with this announcement, I want to pay homage to Square One. Because in my mind, for me, the fun I had in that building, Square One was so cool, and I'm bringing it up, one, again, to pay homage to it, and two, to say if this place captures half the vibe of that place, it's going to be spectacular. Square One was a meeting place. It was a late night, all these other joints are closed place. It was where a lot of relationships got established at Square One, a lot of friendships, a lot of business ventures, a lot of really cool things happen there. I see the same thing for this. Our community, our larger community, this city needs a place where people can feel like they can go. It's not no pretentious stuff. It's just us kicking it, having fun, enjoying delicious wines, and some eats, and getting a chance to meet people and talk to folks. And knowing you, I know how you like to make sure that everybody feels comfortable when they're in a space. With the announcement of this wonderful building opening, you now have two very unique spaces in this city where people feel like they can be free to be themselves. Once this gets really moving along and you guys have a chance to see how this crowd goes, is this, for lack of a better term, is this an organic situation where you may make moves on the fly, where you'll see something that's really working well and like, yo, we need to enhance that, or this isn't working at all, or because a lot of businesses get in and they're like, this is what we're doing, and that's it. I just know you. I know how you get down. How do you feel about how you're going to navigate through this?
Right. Well, first of all, you mentioned Square One, so actually, this was definitely inspired by Square One. That was a very beautiful place. I don't know if you know this or not. Remember this? I actually opened 2 weeks after 9/11.
I remember that.
Probably wasn't the best time to open up a business. So a lot of what we did, I feel like was in response to what was happening at the time. It was a space that was needed. Everything that was happening in the country, and all the Islamophobia and all the stuff that was happening. So a lot of that, the energy was about bringing people together through music, through the food, through the juice, through the magazines, through the space. All the stuff we did. And that didn't work out. Obviously, we had about a good year run. So a lot of the thought of this space is definitely inspired by Square One. How can you do that 20 years later? A lot of lessons learned, a lot of mistakes made, and won't make those mistakes this time. But I feel like spaces always should be organic. I never go into anything saying this is how it's going to be. I think that's not the way. To me, I would never do a business. You create a shell, and the people kind of help to guide what that looks like. So music is always a good, important part of it. Ron Trent did the sound for us, so we got a really beautiful sound system. The art is important. The food is going to be amazing. We have a wonderful 29-year-old chef. So it's just like this intersection of all these different inspirations for us. Music, food, art. Community. So for me, I look at it as we come to the space. It sounds good. It feels good. It smells good. People gather, have good conversations, and maybe some people meet, get married, have some kids, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah, for sure.
So
build that brand.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like our job is to bring people to the space, and magic happens when people come into the space. Right. That's up to them.
Here we talk about how working at Bronzeville Winery is part of the growth and development of not just being at the winery, but being in that community. We also talk about a date, an actual, real, live, official, open Mario's There date. And we ask about any further restaurant plans for this collective of Eric and Cecilia. More with them right now.
It'll be a great place to work. It'll be fun, a great atmosphere. I think it's people are excited about being a part of something new.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the things that I was most excited about, in addition to just the restaurant opening, was to be able to help develop the people that we work with in the ecosystems that I've always thrived in. I've had mentors and mentees who have all worked together to try to just continue to push each other. So we do have a lot of really great programming scheduled for our employees, whether it's, being able to do a monthly entrepreneurship training with BMO Harris Bank, or being able to teach people how to invest some of their savings from every paycheck to be able to buy their first home in the neighborhood, or, every single year we'll actually put through one of our employees into a level 1 sommelier program so they can, so we can create the next level of sommeliers that come from Chicago.
Nice.
So there's a lot of things that we're doing to reinvest in our community and reinvest in the people that work with us. So for us, it's more than a job, and we are working with our chef. We just did our tasting last night for some of our menu items, which was delicious.
Yeah.
Shout out Whitney McMorris.
Yeah.
Good as hell, Joe.
But she is an artist. She's an artist. She's an amazing chef, and she's worked with a lot of really, really high end restaurants throughout the city. She tends to be more on the fine dining side. Worked with the Alinea Group and is really into like molecular gastronomy and just really beautiful, artful food. Yeah. And so it's been really fun to work with her and just develop with her to say, all right, how do we take these experiences that people pay so much money for? How can we make it affordable so that people can come here and enjoy it every day? But also, how do we allow everyone to be a part of this really beautiful food experience? Because it's more than just, the food that we have available in the neighborhood now, which is like fried fish across the street or dollar store or, there's still a lot of other places in the neighborhood, but we really wanted to be able to take what people want to eat from the neighborhood, make it affordable, and to see her grow in that and really take that as a challenge has been fun. It's been nice to be able to give her the platform that she deserves. She is vibrant. She's such an individual. She's fun. She paired with our sommelier, Derek, who's been, doing our wine programming. It's just been really nice to be able to see those relationships flourish. And so it's nice to be able to give her that platform and for lack of better words, give her the canvas of a plate and allow her to really put things through and put them out on the plate.
Who is your sommelier?
Derek C. Westbrook.
That's what I thought you were talking about. That's my man. Yeah, that's my guy. All right, Westbrook. I see you, brother. Yeah, I'm coming to see you, too. I see you. So what day can I start not working? I mean, going up there. What day is the launch day?
Our first day open will be the 20th of April.
Okay. And I don't want it to be like a million people camped out on Cottage Grove.
We also don't want that.
Trying to get in like Michael Jackson and playing. How will people be able to be a part of this April 20th date?
So I think one thing that's really important is to be a part of the membership club. You got to come before everybody else. If you're a part of the winery collective, then you'll be able to actually come in and experience it before we even open our doors. We will be reservation only for the first few weeks, depending upon how many people come. So make reservations. Go to bronzevillewinery.com. Make your reservation. It's easy. You'll have a seat. You won't have to go walk around the neighborhood and wait for a table. But, the easiest way is just to make a reservation. Yeah. We'll have indoor-outdoor seating. So we have a beautiful, beautiful patio made by Rocky. And there'll be a patio where people will be able to sit inside and outside. So we have plenty of seats. It's just we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success and being fair to everybody who wants to enjoy it. So making reservations is definitely the best way.
And that information is available as of this airing, correct?
Absolutely.
BronzevilleWinery.com.
BronzevilleWinery.com.
Also can follow Bronzeville Winery on Twitter and Instagram at Bronzeville Winery too.
Yep.
Like I did.
Yep.
Don't be a schmuck. Follow them right now. Just go.
Exactly.
So this is huge. So April 20th, we will be able to go to Bronzeville Winery, sit.
Maybe not April 20th because it's going to be probably full. But
yeah, right.
Maybe the 21st, 23rd, 27th. You never know. We ain't going nowhere, though.
I like to think that I have some kind of special entrance. I don't know if it's like a fingerprint or something that I can just come on in.
If you work the dish machine from the back,
I will do it. Not a problem. Say no more. I'll do that. I want to know. Let's not imagine it being successful. Well, it's going to be super successful. It's going to work out well. Will there be another restaurant type venture to keep CC in Chicago a little bit longer?
Yes. We've actually talked about it a little bit already. So
really,
one step at a time.
She's like, what?
But if you think about the South Side, it's the largest area of the city.
Yeah.
And then, we have obviously our wonderful friend Eric Williams at Virtue, but you don't have many spaces, So, you have Chatham, you have South Shore, the list goes on of communities that would want something like that. So, If not us, it could be somebody else. But hopefully, it's an inspiration for somebody else. But yeah, we'll see.
In the remaining time that we have left, that sounds very official.
Mm-hmm.
In the remaining time that we have left, what is the immediate goal for Bronzeville Winery?
To get open.
Yeah.
The immediate goal. Wow.
That's a good goal, though.
To hire people, train people, to have them be able to live out their dreams in their community. From our chef to our som, have people in the community who've lived there for such a long time feel a sense of pride. They can walk down the street and drink one glass of wine, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To feel like, wow, that was a great experience I would have somewhere else. I used to have somewhere else. Now I can have it in my own community. And I think about even like maybe, a first date that happens in Bronx. But like all those things to me are very important. So just having a space for all the things that happen.
That first date thing crossed my mind.
Yeah. And
that could be dope.
I think we have such a great leadership team. Our managing director, Amy Jeanette, and I think she's going to be that face at the door that will be able to welcome everybody. We'll be able to remember everyone's name, and we'll be able to kind of coach our staff and lead them, but be able to create that space where everybody feels like they are remembered. And I think that's so important in hospitality industry, to come from the top, where everyone cares equally about the experience, that, they're able to say, hey, I remember you from last time, or hey, because we have such a vibrant community over there in general. It's just been really nice to be able to interact with everyone.
To close out, we talk about what type of entertainment programming one can expect at Bronzeville Winery. We also go back into BronzevilleWinery.com and explain how you can be involved directly in what goes on at the winery. Here it is. This is it. It's Eric and Cecilia on Randomly Selected.
Well, a big part is for me, obviously we want to have food, but, I think sometimes people forget about sound and sonics. And so, I mentioned, me and Ron were talking about how can we make the sound system, be equal to the experience of the food and everything else and the design. So we put extra into the sound, from the acoustical treatment to the custom-made speakers to, just everything about the sound is going to be really important. So you walk in, it's like, I wasn't expecting this to sound like this. So we didn't have to do that, but it was something that I really, really was passionate about, that you get this equal experience of like food and like, wow, listen to this track by Main Ingredient on this. I'm hearing all of this sound, or this song about Thelonious Monk. I'm hearing things I didn't really hear because of the sonics of this space. But the audiophiles can now come and have the same experience. So that's something totally like I didn't even talk about, but once you get in there, you'll be like, oh, this sounds good.
You'll have DJs and stuff.
Yeah, we'll have DJs playing. We have a whole setup of just folks who can just play. Even I was thinking about the music. It's the same approach as the food. It's non-traditional. It's non-commercial. Just come in and play what you want to play. You might play, Led Zeppelin.
Right.
You might play, Sarah Vaughan after that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like this whole eclectic mix of music is what I would like to hear. That's what I would play.
Well, man, I am hearing great things. April 20th, the people are interested in getting work. Go to BronzevilleWinery.com. People are interested in getting in this wine club like I am, because I'm on the website right now trying to get in it.
Tell them who's playing at the Wine Collective opening event, Eric.
Oh, Kahil El-Zabar.
That's it.
Is going to be our special guest.
I'm on my way right now.
And Ron Trent's playing music for us.
Oh, hell no. I can see you guys later.
That is a limited, but yeah, it's probably going to be sold out by the time this airs, but, see it. You can try it.
I swear to God, if I don't get in, I'm going to stand right outside and look through the window.
But it's going to be more.
I'm just going to stare in the window like this.
But that's going to be all the time. That's going to be all the time.
Why is Mario outside looking through the window? Like, shouldn't he be in here?
Because he didn't get his ticket.
Exactly.
Staring through the window.
No, but that's going to be, it's funny. So, I love Kahil to death, and he wanted to come and bless the space with his spiritual music.
That's going to be dope.
So, no one could play first except for Kahil.
Yeah.
I said that like 2 years ago. Honestly, I'm like, he has to play first.
I totally think, you know how I feel about him.
Yeah.
That's my man. So, yeah, I totally see that. And please, can I please come? Do you think you can hook a brother up?
I talked to
He's
CC
magic.
and see if she can get you in.
Magic.
I think that's going to be dope. I know how these things work when you're trying to put something together and you got a million things that have to all happen. And there's a lot of synchronicity, a lot of just things have to happen right. And even though we went through the COVID moment and supply chain issues and all kinds of other crazy, it looks really good to see both of you guys doing this. I'm glad that we had a chance to talk to you both. And before I cut you loose, because I know you guys have a million things to do because you're very busy. I want to ask you, Cece, your experience in the world of what you do. How does this adventure compare to some of the other things that you've done?
It's an interesting question because I people are like, oh, we haven't seen you here in a while. We haven't seen you back in Chicago, but it feels so good to be home. I feel like everything that I've learned, throughout, all over the world of, all these hotels and all these little ecosystems and all these, people that I've worked with and, helped to be able to then open up their own businesses. It's all been amazing, but it feels a million times more special to be doing it in Chicago with my people, as much as I wanted to run away from the winter. And I love surfing. So I was almost in Miami too. A little place in Miami, I would surf every morning. And
look at you.
And then now I'm back and I still curse Eric when I ride my bike in the 30-degree weather. But it feels good to be doing it at home. There's so much development that's happening right now on the south side of Chicago that's beautiful. There's so much minority development, and one thing that I think has been different than anywhere else is the focus is not always just money. The focus is continuing to redevelop the community that's around them. And that's something that differs from Chicago than anywhere else. Is I think people on the south side of Chicago, but in general, are more worried about paying it forward than they are worried about making money or any of the other initiatives. So that's something that feels really good about being home. So
you guys ready?
Oh, I'm always ready.
So ready.
Oh, check you out. Look at you. Thanks so much for being on the show. I'm not joking. I am very excited. I swear to God, as soon as I crack the code on how to get in this wine club, I'm in. I got 30 bones on me. I'm spending it today. This is going to happen. Looking forward to it. Bronzeville Winery's opening April 20th. If you want more information, go to bronzevillewinery.com. You're going to have to make reservations for the first couple of weeks because we know how we do. We need to make sure it's an orderly process so we can all have a good time and give everybody a chance to enjoy it as well. Eric, Cecile, thank you.
Cece.
I said Cecile again. I know her. I know her. It's not like I never met her before. I absolutely have known her for years.
Cecile.
You can call me Cecile.
I keep doing it.
It sounds good when you say it.
Well, see, that's because I have not trained my voice. Thank you both so much. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mario.
And even though I called her Cecile a million times, thank you to Eric and Cecilia for being on the show today. We really appreciate that. And we also appreciate getting all this great news about Bronzeville Winery. Something tells me there are more great announcements coming. Not sure when, but they're coming. The next episode of Randomly Selected, we welcome in writer, poet, and all-around wonderful human being, Dr. Tara Betts. It's going to be a good one. We'll see you next time on Randomly Selected.